So a lot of folks showing you these tips and tricks won't show you the little details that you need to make do with imperfect materials. Because let's be honest, even nice quality materials like AZEK, TimberTech, Advanced PVC, there's little discrepancies that are just going to not quite deliver the high quality that you might be looking for. So today I'm going to show you how to fix a issue when you're gluing together mitered ends. I'll show you what that looks like. So I'm preparing these boards to install on a deck bench, and the ends I am gluing a mitered piece onto the end so that that end is nice and finished and you don't have the bare PVC sticking out at you. But even if you're making your cuts nice and tight, you might notice that there's a little sliver gap there. And if you're anal retentive like me, you don't like that. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. So first thing I do when I'm gluing these up is I spray the big side that I'm not going to be able to move with some accelerator. That way it's just easier. And then I'm going to glue the trim piece, the end piece. I'm going to do a little circle like that. I don't get it close to the edges because I don't want that glue to squeeze out. So here's the first step. Make sure when you line this up, you do a really nice job of getting that tip. The tip is what you're really going to see, and that's the one you want to need to make. Pay as close attention as you can to lining up, and because this accelerator makes the glue cure very quickly, you're going to want to make sure that you position it and hold it tight. About 5 to 10 seconds will do. Cool. Now it's not going anywhere. But as you can see, there's a bit of a gap there, a little bit of an edge. And sometimes that's just due to the shape of the board. Sometimes these boards are slightly concave or convex, whatever, where we're warped a little bit. So I'm going to show you how to deal with that. So one of my first things I'll do is I'll take the blunt edge of some sort of flat tool, and what I'll do is basically bend that edge over so that it hides that gap. And what it also does is it makes this a nice softer edge, because this is a bit sharp. So what I'm going to do is use that blunt edge to kind of roll that edge over. And you can see that's already getting rid of that gap. Sometimes it takes a bit of force. So most of that gap is gone already. And then I'll do a little bit of sanding to kind of get some of that excess material. You're going to be light with this. Practice on a scrap piece if you can when you're first starting out, so you can get a feel for how everything turns out. So number one, you can already see that that's reduced that unsightly gap. You can use your fingernails to kind of take off some of the excess material that gets rolled over there, just so it's less visible. So there's one. And then we're dealing with that crack edge there. So what I'll also do is, whichever side is overhanging a bit, which it's this side, I'll take that same tool and I'll press into this at an angle to smush that PVC into that gap a bit. You gotta be careful with this because you don't want to leave big marks or anything like that. You just want to kind of smush it so that it expands into that gap. And look at that. Beautiful. So that's a trick to get rid of those unsightly crack lines. And I'll do the same thing on this side. You can see that's, there, I highlight it there. So this has a little bit of an edge. And the nice thing is when you do that, you round that edge over, and so it doesn't catch your hand if you're running your hand over it. And one of the things I like to do is make sure that it just the decking feels nice, especially if this is going to be on a drink rail. It's going to be right up close and personal. You're going to be able to see it. You want to make that feel nice on the hands if somebody's running their hands along that. And you want to make sure it looks nice. This does take there is a bit of a learning curve for this. So there you go. And you got to kind of figure out how to position the blade in order to get that nice and tight. But this is a way you can elevate your decking work to a little bit finer finish. And everything's a finished material here, so you got to figure out ways to do this that work in the real world. And there you go. So that hides that. Makes it look a little better. Makes it feel nicer. There's no sharp edge there. It's just a rounded edge. And then I'll usually, if I'm doing this as a way to finish it, I'll take off the edges here. Make sure everything's nice and soft. Round over all the edges there. Making sure to not catch too much of the finished edge just on the bottom where it's not going to be visible, where it's more important how that feels when somebody wraps their hand around it. There you go. Hope that helps.